Yeah.
How has being a parent changed, if it has, your relationship with God?
I think the big thing with kids that's changed is up until this point, I've had a decision on everything I've done. I got to decide who I married. I got to decide if I want to start a business, if I want to hire somebody, fire somebody, whatever, right? With kids, you kind of get to decide. But, once you have the kid, you don't know how they're going to be.
Yeah.
You don't know how they're going to turn out. You don't know what choices they're going to make. That's complete. Like, obviously, I can do my very best to love them and create a great environment, but they're still going to do what they want to do. And that's kind of like the crazy, scary thing where you're like, wow, this is completely out of my control, but like, this is my kid.
Yeah.
No matter what. And there's nothing that will ever change that. And so I have to, do the very best to make them like a model citizen, So that's a weird thing of like, man, dude, I'm like, I don't really have control on this. But I'll say like, it's also made me think a lot about, God and Jesus being his son. And, you think about the sacrifice Jesus made for us and God planned all that, allowed it to happen. I'm like, man, dude, the fact that he was willing to do that for us is crazy. Cause like, could I do that with one of my kids? Probably not. Like, it's crazy. So I think it puts more things in perspective of like, God the Father and I'm a father now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like as a dad, once I became a dad, I feel like I could understand just a little bit more of what God feels like. When we talk about like, how can God like love everyone? Like,
yeah,
well, I love all my kids. Like I love my kids, even when they're terrible people. Like yesterday, Wilder was a terrible human. In every way you can be a terrible human, he was a terrible human. He would have, if he had a gun, he would have shot somebody. Just like he was murderous. And I'm like, but I still love him with everything in here, right? And I'm like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Or little things like, when I was younger, I used to like beg God for answers to things like, what college do I go to?
Yeah.
Or what career do I get? And then now I'm like, well, if Rosie was like, Dad, what yogurt do I eat from the fridge? I'd be like, I don't care.
Yeah.
What one do you want to eat? Like all of a sudden I realized like, oh wait, what if God just wants us sometimes to do what we want, like in a large way. Like, I go to this vacation spot or this one. What if he's like, well, what do you want to do?
He's like,
well, what, like,
whatever.
Yeah. I think the Jonah situations are a lot more rare of like, God's like, no, you will go to this college and you will take this class because I have a plan for you. I think that's probably pretty rare. And I think being a father has taught me that. That's I
love that perspective.
Theory.
I think, I haven't thought about it like that, but I have thought about it like this kid is got me to like the end. But I still love him. Like there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And nothing he does will change that.
Yeah.
And versus people in this office or wherever, if they piss me off, it's like, hey, I don't have to continue to have you here. Like you're out.
All right. Before we begin to start wrapping up, I want to ask you some advice questions for people listening to help them out.
Okay.
As somebody who's built multiple businesses,
Yep.
And you have the wealth that most people want. And we're talking again financial wealth here. Like they want to own a business, cash flow, whatever that thing is. What is your advice to somebody who's maybe in your shoes? 10 years ago, maybe not pro baseball player, but they're broke.
Yeah, that was broke.
What do they do?
Man, I think so. The tools that we had 10 years ago were very different than today.
Sure.
So it's like, dude, literally 10 years ago, it's like Bigger Pockets podcast was out there. That's kind of it. Like there was no YouTube videos of me telling people how to flip couches or do this or do that. And so I just kind of fell into real estate because it was the only thing I could figure out that could make money. It's not like I loved real estate by any means. I was just like, oh yeah, I can make money doing this. Cool. So to that end, I mean, I know a lot more now and resources are way more available today. So I don't think anybody in the United States has an excuse for being broke. I don't really care where you're from, where you're starting at, what your situation is. Yeah, we all have different situations starting out. We all have different unique talents and abilities. But at the end of the day, like this is the time to be alive where anyone can do anything. I mean, you didn't grow up, in some oppressive country that doesn't allow you to do anything. You didn't grow up 500 years ago where, you know, you're a slave. You know, it's like, dude, we all have the opportunity to do something in America, at least. So to that end, I would pick something that, you know, number one, you are passionate about and you think could be a good fit for you. So whether that's real estate, whether that's being a content creator, whether that's being a salesperson, whether that, like, there's so many ways to make freaking money, right? But like, if you're trying to get rich, you know, the only way to get rich is to figure out how to make big chunks of money. So like, if you're going to go work at a W-2 that makes $50K a year, there's nothing wrong with that if you want that to be like your steady income, but you're gonna have to figure out something else on top of that that's going to make money.